And we're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today we're focused on Star Trek, the original series episode. Hold on, I always mess this up. Is there in truth no beauty? There we go. I got it right. Yes. We're here with this wonderful panel. We've got Robbie, we got Ian, we got Adam, and we got Ruben. And we're supposed to have Fathery here, who's actually Steven if I'm doing first names. So, so I don't know where Fathery is. Like, I think he's lost in that weird zone out there somewhere when you go past the Great Barrier. But Father, if you're hearing this, we've got a
Stovergard, what was that Klingon afterlife?
What is it called? Stovacor. Stovacor. I suppose if
I
you're
have
gonna
some
say
exciting stuff.
You do? Yes.
Because I got a package today from Amazon, something I ordered.
Oh, what did you order?
To the show, and so we can do a live kind of unboxing.
Oh, I love unboxings. Let's see.
Yeah,
it.
it's
Oh dear.
very. I got my own.
Oh dear!
I got my own Medusan here, so I'm just curious. To
Ruben,
see,
wait, Ruben, put on some safety glasses.
Why is this not on?
There we go.
That's nice. That's real nice. You guys want to see it?
No, don't look. Everyone look away. Well done.
That's pretty good. Bravo.
So you can order a Medusan on Amazon. That's fantastic.
This is going to be very useful in many Star Trek gags moving forward.
I feel like that is like the Medusan light. That's pretty cool. You could have that going on in the background there.
You know what? I half expect to see that now on the cruise. I think I'm Q's costume party. I'm half expecting to see that.
That's actually a good idea because you could put that little orb in a box and it would work.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of praise as usual. Hello, too beautiful to bear. I love this name. It's true. The Medusans aren't too ugly. They're too beautiful. I like that. I'm totally going to stand for that. It's true. And actually, from just like a visual perspective, the way it's depicted on screen is actually pretty beautiful. I love the abstract light patterns and all that stuff. So it is funny that something within that drives humans mad because
there's some cool camera stuff going on in this episode.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, that wide angle. Well, let's get right into it. I love this. Hey, Father, how's it going?
Oh, let me unplug this before I.
It's going.
Do you feel up to doing an episode summary for this one, like a brief little Fathery summary?
Sure.
Yeah.
I can try to knock it out real quick, but this episode is about a Medusan coming on board the ship. They are a race of non-corporeal energy beings that are formless and shapeless and so hideous that if you are to look upon them, you will be driven insane. But they're incredibly good navigators. So they bring one on board along with his human escort, Dr. Jones, and one of the designers of the Enterprise, Larry Maverick. And the idea is that they're going to see if they can set up some type of system for a Medusan to be a navigator on Starfleet ships. Because they are so good at what they do. However, because this is the original series, everyone has the hots for the beautiful Dr. Jones, and this makes Larry Maverick. It's Maverick, right? That's
no, it was like Marvick.
Marvick. Okay, yeah.
I kind of like. Right. I didn't correct you because I was like digging Maverick. Like, I was like,
but anyways, Larry. Let's call him Larry.
Larry, yeah. Just like the name of the murder planet, and he's a murderer actually. So like,
or the author who invented the Kazinti.
Oh,
or
right.
Larry Nemeczek. There's a bunch of Larrys in Star Trek.
There's a bunch of Larrys, it's true.
But anywho, Larry is really jelly because he liked Dr. Jones, and I guess he figures out that Dr. Jones, who is like very close to the Medusan Kolos, is like, I guess he's jealous of that attraction, so he decides in a fit of rage he's going to I guess murder, because someone was thinking about murder, right? So I guess he's
Yeah.
gonna murder Kolos. But before he can zap him with his phaser, he glances upon the Medusan, and so he goes cuckoo, goes and messes up the warp engine, sends the Enterprise hurtling at insane speeds far away, and the only way to be able to get back is for Spock to mind meld with the Medusan, do some navigational stuff, and fly them back over there. However, then Spock gets in some hot water because he looked at the Medusan's body when he tried to put Kolos's consciousness back. And I really don't really understand everything that happens there at the end, but I think Dr. Jones and Spock mind meld again to like repair Spock.
Yeah, there's some deep stuff going on between them.
And it turns out she was blind all along.
Yep.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Good summary, wow. But then it does have a happy ending because
She was wearing that sensor dress.
the sensor dress. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's like Daredevil, right?
So yeah, what do you guys think of this episode?
Neat concept with the Medusans. The
Yeah.
episode's kind of it is kind of like weird and experimental, and they try to like do like the da 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 music.
With this, what I liked also was like this electronic organ that
The
they
organ.
incorporated,
Yeah, the electronic
which
score.
always makes you sound like those kind of keys make it like a maddening sound, you know, so it kind of like fits with like going mad. So that was a really cool thing, but I did think it was a little overpowering. Like I feel like it could have been less at sometimes. Yeah.
The overall, I think, final package of the episode, there's like some neat stuff going into it, but it's very season 3 to me. And it's not. I wouldn't show this as like a good representative of what the Star Trek the original series is. I think
really?
I think it's a little. Yeah, I think it's not great. It's not like as terrible as say last week's episode is often considered to be, or Spock's brain or some of the other season 3 stinkers. But yeah, it's definitely not up to par with what we would come to expect of the show after the first 2 seasons, in my opinion.
That's interesting. I feel the opposite, but I'll get into that later. Robbie, would you like to give your thoughts on this episode?
I thought this was an exceptional episode. I'm not sure that I've seen it before. A lot of the ones we've been discussing, I've had vague memories of, but I didn't remember this one at all. So all the twists and all the layers were completely new to me. I didn't see the fact that she was blind at all.
It surprised you. That's great.
Yeah. It gave me a kind of Columbo vibe just at the beginning with her sensing murder.
Oh my
And the
gosh,
way
Space
that-
Columbo with Diana Muldaur would have been amazing, actually.
She must have been on that show at some point.
I think she was on Columbo for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw, was it Kate Mulgrew on Murder, She Wrote the other night?
All right, carry on, Robbie.
That was
I just thought it was a great character episode, and then that character episode goes into some sci-fi stuff, but it ties into it quite well. And it's not very stagnant at all. It keeps moving. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting.
Cool. Ian, what'd you think?
So you caught me. She was in Murder, She Wrote, Diane Mulder.
No surprise.
Yeah, again, I think it's one of the better ones of season 3. But it did leave me with a question right at the very end: is why didn't Kirk go mad?
When?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, and the director agrees with you, Ralph Sinensky. He's written about this on his website because, but he didn't cut that segment. That was cut by the editor, Fabian Tordman. I forget his name, but anyway, who didn't quite get what was going on in that scene. So actually, the way the scene is written in the script, Kirk leaves the transporter room before the transportation because yes, he should have. If he was there with no visor, he should have gone bananas. But,
Yeah, he should have gone mad. Because I got it right at the very end because he walks off with Spock, and I'm thinking,
yeah.
He evolved
Yeah.
an inner eyelid that closed because he's been hanging around with Spock.
He's got
so,
Kirk vision, man.
He's got Kirk vision.
Nothing can penetrate that.
Kirk's will alone is enough to withstand.
Or his rug absorbs
one.
the energy from the Medusa.
I mean, I do like that it's Bones that actually brings up that she's blind. I do like that one because
I love that scene when
He
he's
knew all
like,
along, yeah.
he knew all along, and he's
yeah.
like, I didn't tell you because I was respecting her. If she wants to
Patient
tell
doctor
you,
privilege.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but also he's right. It's like if she wants to tell you, it's her business, not mine. You know.
But he's such a
until-
good doctor. He had the
Yeah.
perception that, like, I mean, he sounded pretty confident when he told her. He's like, "Doctor, let's be real. Like,
Yeah.
you know you're blind. Like,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
not,
that was
let's
really
not
good.
BS around about this."
Yeah.
So yeah,
But
like
it's quite
he had just
even
observed
Scott didn't
that.
get it, so yeah, that's what I did like. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good,
No,
good
it's-
Dr.
it's-
McCoy stuff.
Yeah, really good in
quite,
this episode.
Quite multi-layered. I do like it. You get the stereotypical bit of Kirk trying to, what should we say? He's trying to not seduce her, but take her mind off everything.
Romance or
Fucking
distract her.
Kirk's actual superpower.
There's a lot to respect about that lady.
Yeah, there is a lot to respect.
Yeah,
about it.
it was there, and also it came across to me. I know they were trying to make her a little bit aloof, but I think with it all, the underlying feeling that she just was constantly angry for right up until near the very end, that she was just quite an angry person with it. I mean, you know, if you've got telepathy and you've got all these thoughts going in your head, you're going to get a bit wired.
And it's neat that she had to go to Vulcan. Like, it's cool that, like, you know, they can do that. Like, she's born with this ability that humans don't typically have, and then, well, it's very rare actually. I mean, we don't. I asked this question on Twitter, but like, we don't really get a lot of extraordinary evolved human minds in Star Trek at all. So there's just like
You do a little bit, but
who else, Father, were you thinking?
In Where No Man Has Gone Before, it's like a whole thing. It's
Right,
like some
yeah,
humans
that's
have-
what I meant. Yeah, Esper, the Esper rating, right? So there was
Yeah,
like,
the Esper ratings, yeah. Whereas,
so it
you know,
implies that, like,
she was born with it. So that's, I think that's the
And then in
difference.
TNG, they do it a little bit in season 2 in that episode where they're trying to evolve those kids to have even more telepathy.
Oh, yeah, the aging episode, which is a Diana Muldaur episode.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay,
that's
okay.
the one with that's the one with the active.
But they're genetically modified children, right? Like, so I felt like there was something up with that. So
Yeah.
like, as far
Which
as
you're
natural,
also not supposed to do. There's supposed to be no eugenic modification stuff after Khan and all that, but
right. But yeah, just as far as like natural ability, like Wesley, Too Beautiful to Bear in our audience brought up Wesley, and I thought that was a good example because he had like the ability to tap into some kind of like extraordinary like space-time thing, which was like, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, they brought it out in the latest books as well, haven't they? Because Wesley's the traveller,
right?
So
there you go. I mean, which is interesting. I'd love to see him come. I wonder if he's going to play a part in Star Trek Picard if they have like space for Wesley to come back. That'll be an interesting.
I bet he shows up in something, either Lower Decks
it's
or
actually quite
Picard.
good. Have you seen that meme recently with him where they're saying now it shows you how time's gone by because he's actually older than Patrick Stewart was when they started doing TNG?
Oh yeah,
that's pretty wild.
Yeah, I think Patrick Stewart was 47 when they started, and I think Will Wheaton is 50 now.
Oh my gosh. Will Wheaton's 50.
So,
he looks like he still feels like he's a kid to me.
Yeah, he looks like he's younger than me.
Or
It must be something to do with TNG, obviously, because Sir Patrick is, you know, he barely aged all the way through this, and Will Wheaton's aging really well as well. So
Celebrities drink virgin blood.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, if you're an actor, your face is a big part of your job and how you put
so you have to take
food on the table. So yeah, I think a lot of
yeah.
them, you know, take good care of how they look.
Ruben, what did you think of this episode?
I liked it. I enjoyed the kind of weird camera work, 60s horror, psychological horror stuff going on there with the kind of fisheye lens and the super tight on the face shots were pretty creepy. I mean,
if I can recreate it here.
In season 3, they did not spend a dime on this episode. Everything was pretty much standing sets that they've had lying around, right? I can't think of anything that was.
They had to buy the
box.
kilt for Scotty.
Yeah, Scotty's kill.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. It didn't bore me. Like I wasn't like, okay, I get to the point, you know. Like, it kept me intrigued the whole way through. It made me think of Tam Elbrun and Tin Man.
Oh, nice. That's
Because
a cool
she's
connection,
a psychologist with telepathic powers who's kind of jealous because Spock gets to bond with the creature instead of her. And like he bonds with that creature. You know, very loose, kind of just weird little thought, but otherwise I enjoyed it. But slightly above average. It's not the best episode in the world. It definitely has its issues, but it didn't. I've seen worse. There's way worse. Spock's brain, you know, like there's way worse to me than this episode.
Adam, what'd you think?
Yeah, it's interesting to hear all the comments. Especially interesting to hear Robbie talk about it as from not having seen it before. Yeah, this isn't a bad episode. I mean, it wasn't one of my favorites. It's not a very typical kind of Star Trek episode, but that's sort of what makes it interesting. That we'll get that a little bit next week too with the empath, which I really like. But yeah, it's like.
Next week is
that next week? Oh, sorry.
Spectre of the Gun.
Sorry.
Right, Spectre of the Spectre.
I'm probably doing production order or something. I don't know. But yeah, no, I like the kind of gothic vibe it has. That kind of that sort of horror element. I mean, the music really leans into that too much, I think, but it helps create that mood. And I think you get some good performances, not so much from, now I'm going to call him Maverick, Marvick, David.
Marvick.
Sorry.
I mean, he's okay, but he goes a little over the top. But I really enjoy Spock's performance. And it's interesting because the other episode Diana Muldaur was in, Spock also Nimoy got to do a little something different by, having the Enoch or whatever the name of the Sargon creature.
Oh, yeah.
But I really enjoy that scene.
He gets to show emotion.
Yeah, and he does some subtle things, or just how he was acting as he comes out of the little enclosed space after having seen the Medusan, with the vein bulging on his head, and again, like Ruben said, the camera work with the fisheye lens. So it has some interesting elements. I think Diana Muldaur is good in it. But it's not a typical sort of Star Trek. Oh, the other thing I liked is, and again, this wasn't typical because you never see them in this set again, or you don't see this table again when they're having dinner together, just sort of like a casual dinner with Diana Muldaur or with Miranda or whatever her name is, and just the conversation going back and forth there is kind of interesting, and some of the things that come up. So yeah, I quite enjoy it actually. But yeah, it's not a typical episode.
No, it's not. You sent me this cool picture. This is David Frankum is the name of the actor who played Larry Marvick, and he recently, a couple of years ago, got to revisit the set. And I don't know if you guys can see,
this
but
in
there's
New
the
York?
box.
Is this in Ticonderoga?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's older than Shatner. He's into his 90s now. He's probably 93 or 4, somewhere around there. But he's still kicking.
Good for him.
So, it was really cool. I really love this episode. I didn't remember much of it. It's been like many years since I last saw it. It's probably been like 20 plus years.
Oh yeah, when we were talking about Medusans like a couple of months ago, I didn't remember
like this episode. So it was kind of like watching it again, and I didn't remember the twist with her being blind and stuff like that. And I thought that the net thing was cool. So yeah, it was fun to rewatch it, but I actually loved all the dialogue and like to me the performances and the exchanges and like the jealousy and like Spock and like her going back and forth, like all that melodrama was just like really.
I was watching this episode, and Antonia was in like a different room, but she could hear it, and I just at one point she just said like, "Oh my god, that's so dramatic."
It's so true. It's so true. All of that, and then I just loved Zero has been a really interesting character on Prodigy, and so I really loved like just going back to see like where Medusans kind of were introduced and how they're evolving the idea of Medusans in Prodigy.
It's fun to see when Kolos and Spock are merged together, and you get to hear like the Medusans speak. That's like the only time we have insight into like their personality or anything. Up until then, they're just kind of this. It's almost like it's like it's just like a hypothetical entity. It's other people describing it, but the audience doesn't really have that intimacy with the character and gets into, look at like their thoughts or feelings or anything until that moment.
And it's very similar to how it's done in Metamorphosis when the creature goes into the diplomat there, played by Eleanor Donahue. And again, even some of the same observations, you're so lonely or you're trapped in this kind of shell thing. I mean, it's very, the dialogue is very, I like it. I find it very moving. So, but
I love that scene because Captain Kirk's like, all right, Ambassador
You
Kolos,
got to go back, but he has
got,
he's
like-
got a little sympathy there. I mean,
Yeah,
he knows it's
yeah.
hard, but you got to do this because the longer you stay, the harder it's going to be.
the harder it's gonna be to want to leave. Yeah, and it's cool
Yeah.
because he's like, you're very wise, Captain. You know, like
Yeah.
he like acknowledges like what was going on. That I like that scene a lot. Arthur,
Well, you think about it, Kirk actually has experienced it as well. In the same episode with Diamond.
oh, with the Sargons, yeah,
Yeah,
with,
good
yeah, with
point.
Sargon, yeah.
Spock and Mulder's character in that one. So he's experienced that as well.
Wow, the
So-
Enterprise crew is mind linked with alien, like with many non-corporeal species. Like they've got like a lot of experience in this. I forgot.
That was a
about
big
that.
thing in the original series, though, is there was a lot of like these very mysterious, very like otherworldly. Like it's almost like we can't quite comprehend what these life forms are like. There's a lot more mystery and awe and stuff like that with the alien life in TOS as opposed to later Star Treks, I think.
Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
agree.
Hopefully they can bring that back. It would be nice to have that a little bit of mystery back.
It'll be interesting to see if Strange New Worlds like kind of
Mm.
updates this vibe and brings a little bit of that into it. Maybe we'll see the Metrons or something like them again. We did see that kind of thing in TNG earlier. I feel like there was like a little bit of that. Well, Q is a great example, but you know,
Yeah.
It's interesting being a low budget, or I mean, it wasn't a low budget show for its day, but just having a limited budget. You know that they couldn't make complicated aliens, so they had to resort to a little light show. But you know, as a consequence, they sort of had to think a little outside the box of what an alien could be. I mean, just something so abstract like that, and not really even bothering to explain it. Like, how does the thing in Day of the Dove live on emotions? How does it live on hate and anger and that kind of thing? They don't waste a lot of time talking about it. It's just a cool idea, so they just run with it. But I wonder how much of it came from, in some sense, budget limitations, because you know, once you have a huge budget and you can and the technology to create whatever kind of aliens you want, do you want to just do a sort of blurry light show on the screen? You want to create something maybe a little more recognizable, but then you're cutting yourself off from some of those ideas about aliens.
Right, then the aliens either become humanoid variants or octopus crazy things that,
Right.
you know. So, yeah. And then it becomes more about the spectacle than the actual kind of
Yeah. The
kind
story.
of thought-provoking idea behind, like, what would a non-corporeal creature
Yeah.
that drives people insane, but they're not trying to drive people insane, right? They're just,
yeah, it's not their
they
fault.
can't help it.
Yeah, yeah,
We're
they're-
not bad. We're just drawn that way.
Which was
Um,
still part of the subversive nature of Star Trek, where there are like these ugly aliens, but they're not like these evil creatures from another world, like in a lot of your like 1950s and 60s science fiction movies and stuff. It's you know, what if these horrible creatures, what if they actually have like, you know, like a good heart, and it's just
Yeah.
unfortunate that they're
It
these
reminds me of,
scary things.
Is it Bradbury, Childhood's End? Is that the one where the aliens come to our planet and make first contact, but they look literally like Satan? Like they look like the biblical depiction of Satan,
Right,
with
right.
like horns and like
Evil
bat
angels.
wings, and like they look like and hooved feet.
Nimoy certainly read that when he was thinking of Spock.
Well, I mean, Kirk even says as much. He has the line about you know, the preference for beauty is one of the last of our prejudices. I
Yeah,
think
he does
what
say that.
said.
That's
So
right.
someone's
That's an
coming
interesting
right out
thing.
with
Yeah.
you know, the privilege of being attractive. So yeah, it is a little bit subversive. I agree.
Which is quite ironic considering they're all tripping over each other because they think Diane Mulder's character is
Yeah.
Arthur in the audience points out also in that same scene, this is the one
Right.
that has the Itic symbol, which Gene Roddenberry asked to put in so that he could sell it through Lincoln Enterprises.
Yeah.
And Arthur, apparently I still have my Itic I bought from Lincoln
good for you,
Enterprises,
yeah.
Gene Roddenberry's and Magel's mail order company. So cool.
Man, I've got
Oh,
one
cool.
somewhere. I should have dug it up for this. Oh, shoot.
Oh, that would
I've,
be
I've now got I've now got an Itic key ring because it was in the Borg calendar, you know, the
I've got-
Advent calendar.
Oh, you
Oh,
do?
okay.
I've got the Itic key ring.
Very
Do you
nice.
quite like saying about the Idiot? Do you quite like that Miranda took it as a bit of an insult that it was like Spock lording it over her? when they're having the meal, and Spock obviously he's doing it to compliment her, but she's taking it that he's lording it over a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it just sort of demonstrates the insecurity that she's feeling, that she can't be a full telepath the way Spock is, or isn't able to connect with Kolos. So, yeah, I mean, it's a very it's not a generous response from her at all, but I think it helps build the character and sort of build the tension. So,
but it does. But it also it turns itself, because she actually accepts it as a compliment right at the end of the episode, doesn't she? Once she has that joined with Kolos, that she sees it that it actually is a compliment to her.
I just wish she would have told Spock that his Itic was crooked all these years. That it just needs to be straightened a little bit. Everybody's Itic is crooked.
By the way, thank you, Arthur. It's Arthur C. Clarke, not Ray Bradbury. So yeah, childhood then. And then Too Beautiful to Bear says the merged Spock was full of joy. It's easy to see why Miranda is so taken with him. Yeah, he was really full of joy. And it kind of reminded me of how the actor plays Zero, has like a kind of joyful wonder tone to the voicing of that character. So I thought that was pretty cool too. And I wonder if that was intentional or just a coincidence. Too Beautiful to Bear says, I thought the aliens in this week's Prodigy were mysterious and hard to fathom. Maybe Prodigy can do more of this. And the Horde. Oh yeah,
that's kind of a throwback to the TOS thing, but just with like a little bit with more modern stylization in the visuals and stuff.
Also, didn't Kolos mention Uhura's beauty first? Yeah, he was struck by Uhura. So that was cool. I also like when Spock describes that like it's possibly going to be a union that's like one being that's both Spock and Kolos. And so McCoy's like, that's not Spock. And then he's like, and that is Spock. So
yeah, that was great. That was fantastic.
That's Spock.
Yeah,
Robbie,
that was lovely.
I like that this episode is about, it's kind of about humanity really, in that they were trying to avoid the prejudices and kind of tackling it. McCoy was saying stuff like, how can someone so beautiful condemn herself to the rest of her days looking at ugliness? And then I like that she responded with, well, how can such a joyful character look upon death and disease for the rest of her life? But also...
Right, like a Call of Duty, it's cool.
Yeah, but also... the way Kirk was written, I was kind of like, I'm not sure how I feel about Kirk in this episode, because he was kind of manhandling Miranda when right after her kind of acquaintance Larry had died of jealousy, basically had become insane because of his jealousy, and then he's not giving her a second to even. Not that she seemed to care much about his death.
I think this was like a situation, and I'm gonna do this thing that I'm just gonna do. His lover was dying. He needed to get him back, so he was like desperate to no. But all kidding aside, his best friend, I think like there was an insanity a little bit to Kirk, because Kirk even says, no matter what happens, don't go inside. He knew he was gonna go in there and provoke her. Like I think that was his intention. Like he wanted to heat her up, like to get her angry, so that she would like work harder. And I don't agree with the methodology necessarily.
That's very Kirk though, right? Like
but it's very Kirk. Yeah,
he will be manipulative when he
needs to be. Yeah, when it comes to like he's desperate to save his friend whose mind is almost lost. Lover jokes aside.
I like the fact though when he came out and he's thinking, I think I've screwed up.
Yeah, he regrets it. He does regret it as well.
Maybe too much.
So I appreciated that. I like I said, I wouldn't do that same behavior of like, he really harasses her. I mean, he really puts her under duress in that scene. Like he basically tells her that she's going to kill, like that he's accusing her of intentionally killing Spock. I mean, you're right, Robbie. It's very intense.
It kind of reminded me of Ethics, the TNG episode, just because during that episode, Picard and Beverly have both very different stances,
Yeah.
And even to this day, when I watch that story, I struggle to think, who do I actually agree with here? And as the episode goes along,
Robbie, can you remind people what episode Ethics is? Because TNG had such forgettable episode titles that I think a lot of people aren't going to pick up on which one it is.
Ethics is the one where Worf has damaged his spine because this kind of canister has fallen on him in the cargo bay. And so he's given this opportunity from this other doctor that comes in that Beverly's kind of has some animosity towards to kind of, he's given basically options that he can have this surgery which will help him, but he will never recover the full mobility of his legs. And Beverly's completely against this because it's very experimental, it's not been done before, and the doctor's just like, let's go for it because I want to be the doctor that's trying the new medicines on the field. And then Picard's and Worf basically wants to commit suicide, but also it's kind of hurtful because you see Alexander going through, well, why won't my father see me? And Beverly's always battling against the Doctor.
Yeah, it's a really interesting kind of traditional Star Trek moral quandary episode. But I just love the comparison that we have today. We have a TOS episode called "Is There in Truth No Beauty?" And then we have a Next Generation episode called Ethics.
Although the beautiful Zubair is saying the most forgettable episode title of all is "There in Truth No Beauty?"
It's
No
not
one can
forgettable.
remember.
It's just easy to confuse.
Nobody can get it right.
Yeah.
I always say, "Is there in truth no
beauty?" Yeah.
I
or
looked up
whatever.
the poem that the title comes from.
Oh, you did? What?
Yeah, it's actually it's a short poem. It's Jordan. It's called Jordan by George Herbert, and it goes, "Who says that fiction's only and false hair become a verse? Is there in truth no beauty? Is all good structure in a winding stair? May no lines pass except they do their duty, not to a true but painted chair. Is it no verse except enchanted groves and sudden arbors shadow coarse spun lines? Most purling streams refresh a lover's loves. Loves, sorry. Most all be veiled while he that reads divines, catching the sense at two removes. Shepherds are honest people, let them sing. Riddle who list for me and pull for prime. I envy no man's nightingale or spring, nor let them punish me with loss of rhyme, who plainly say, my God, my King."
Wow, you just like elevated the show to a new level by reading poetry on it.
I was like, where did the title come from? I was so fascinated by where did this title come from.
It confused me as a kid, the title, because I used to think it meant like, is there like no beauty in truth, like knowing the truth? There's nothing beautiful about the truth.
That is kind of cool, Father.
I think the actual meaning is, does beauty actually not exist? It's not real. It's not like an actual factual concept.
Nice. Both of those.
Well, I mean, again, you go for it. The old phrase, "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder." You know, some things that I might find beautiful, other people won't.
Well, it's also, I think, the most important thing that McCoy said. It was McCoy who says, like, unfortunately, we often mistake beauty for goodness and ugliness for evil or badness, and that's definitely not the case. Like, I think that's like that was like my biggest take. That line like really resonated with me.
I think of it also too. I thought of it anyway as a kind of a bliss and ignorance, because the more you know about something, the kind of less wonderful or wondrous it becomes. You know, you learn about like how a movie's made, and then you're all like, you kind of lose some sort of magic.
The sausage is made.
Yeah, some sort of magic is lost.
So it becomes a bit
familiar.
Mundane.
Yeah, you see the mundane behind it, and the reality behind it. And is it possible to still see beauty in that? I think there is.
That's very cool. Very cool. I love that. I love all those interpretations. This episode did something interesting, and if they had gone on to a season 4, one of the producers or someone joked that they would bring Dinah Muldar back again, but with a red wig instead.
Yeah,
how does she look? So this was like
She
not
was
something
like the original Jeffrey Combs, right?
Yeah.
You know, he played so many
It's
different
true,
characters
it's
in
true.
DS9 and onward.
Yeah.
I guess there was a rule about the main guest stars not coming back, right, or something like that.
I don't think it was a rule, but
It's just something that they tried not to do.
Yeah, this is Bob Justman you're talking about, and I think he
Yeah,
was
thank you.
the original actress they wanted to get to play the part wasn't available, or Sinensky, the director, wanted to get, wasn't available, but he liked Dinah Muldaur. He directed her in the previous episode, and but Justin was like pushing back. Oh, we can't have her again. But then when he saw her like audition or whatever, he's like, yeah, no, this is great. In fact, let's bring her. I can't wait to see her in a red wig.
Does anybody else think she looks like Sophie Turner?
Who's Sophie Turner?
The redhead from Game of Thrones?
She's in Game of Thrones. And
Oh
X-Men.
yeah. There was
There was a
Sandra-
shot where I was
Sandra
like, wow,
Stark.
she looks like Sophie Turner. Like they look
There's
identical
a
to me.
huge Sophie Turner. Oh my gosh, could Sophie Turner play this character?
And I want to make a joke where we,
yeah,
we discussed the title of this episode for a good 5 or 10 minutes. Let's discuss ethics. Ethics. Okay, we're done. not from a poem, not from anything else. Just ethics. Yeah, ethics. That's a thing.
Arthur says, or more truth reveals more beauty. Yeah, perhaps. I like that take as well. What else was interesting? Oh, let's talk about this place that they go to. So that actually reminded me a little bit of like whatever he did at because the Larry was like some kind of like designer of warp systems or navigational like thing. So here's this like crazy Larry going in there, and he's just pushing all these
Crazy
buttons.
Larry.
The controls are all yours.
They're all yours.
Leisure Suit Larry.
And the whole sequence kind of reminded me a little bit of Straczynski in the same Traveler episode, where he's just like, basically like he's just like messing around, and through all these like accidental coincidences, the Enterprise is thrown into this weird void space or whatever.
Yeah.
Which was very. I again, that's like one of those wild. There's not like really a true like solid connection, but I just thought it was a cool, interesting parallel. I
do like Chekhov's comment. It took us a madman to get here. It took us a madman to get out.
Yeah, that was really funny.
Oh, that's another good thing is I do always love when we have all of the what we think of as the regular crew with Uhura, Chekhov, Sulu, and Scotty and Scotty's in every season 3 episode, but so we get that a lot, and George Takei is not off shooting the Green Berets, so he's around a lot more. So there's a lot of episodes where we do get all of them.
Yeah.
Do we get
really
more
like-
Scotty and the kill?
Sorry.
Yes, we do. This is the first time with the kill, and I think it might have been his idea, even actually, or I can't remember the story behind it. But yeah, it comes back certainly in the Lincoln episode, Savage Curtain.
Yeah. He puts
maybe
it on to
another
meet Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, but apparently he researched the tartan or whatever that pattern is from whatever the right clan name. I don't know. Is there a Scott clan or something? But yeah.
Is that a surname that you've come across, Scott? Robbie?
Yeah.
Oh
look to
yeah,
Robin for that.
Scott's common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay. Oh, cool. I've never met another Scott. Someone with the last name Scott. That's cool. Robbie, you were gonna say something before too.
I really like Kirk's last line when he's giving the rose to Dr. Jones. And he says, she says, I suppose the rose has thorns. And Kirk replies, I never met a rose that didn't, because it seemed to be just, like a wee comment about the rose, but also about people. That kind of
I think
related to
it's
the episode.
more first. She was quite prickly herself when you think about it. Yeah.
And that we all have our dark sides.
Yeah,
Every
we all
rose has its thorn.
thorn.
Yep.
Think about like the concept of a rose to a blind person.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like,
interesting.
it
yeah.
smells good, but if you touch it, it hurts. You can't really appreciate the beauty from afar.
Oh, very. This is the deepest Starfleet boy we've had in a. Like it's like the studying the nature of beauty. Like
She was a very I know I was saying about it. She was a very insecure character.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, she was jealous of Spock's bit with Kolos. There was throughout it all right till the very end. Her insecurities were really foremost in a bit, and that's probably another thing that made her sort of come across as a little bit angry and prickly. You know, because of her insecurities.
I like that line when Spock asks to look upon Kolos, and then when he walks out and she's like, "What do you see?" Like that, it should have tipped you. It tips you off a little bit, like like I must know. Yeah, it's like very interesting. In the comments we have Blue asking, I wonder if Zero is going to use his insane making ability. Well, he'd have to. It only seems
Everybody
to work
close your eyes.
Yeah. Well, no, but
get naked.
But I didn't realize it seems like humans are mainly affected, but not necessarily other species, right? Like
Vulcan still need the visor.
Kirk actually says, doesn't he? Because Spock said, "Oh, well, this is okay with Vulcans," and he said, "It's your human half I'm worried about."
Right. That's true.
Say that as well.
But I mean, like, would it affect a Tellarite? Would it affect, whatever Gwyn?
I think it would affect anyone who doesn't have like the Vulcan mental discipline.
Vulcan mental discipline. All right, that makes more sense.
Okay, they often made Spock kind of superhuman because of like the Vulcan abilities.
Yeah.
Blue, I wondered or speculated about that as well, but I don't know. I don't know if the show, I don't know if the show's going to use his ability or like, because they haven't really like represented that ability, right? Have they?
They haven't touched on it.
Yeah.
They always have that trump card. I guess they could play if they wanted, but
if they wanted to, it's true.
Is he like in a box?
And to all the
he's
Brits
in like a little robot
like me,
suit.
Yeah, and to all the Brits out there like me, we will find out sooner or later.
Yes, it's true. One last thing about Zero that's cool is that in the show when he's introduced, he's in this like robot suit, but they do reference this box because he actually originally arrives in the past. His character arrives in this box, so it's a cool homage to that.
Oh, and we learned that the Medusans have a hive mind.
A hive mind,
they're all kind of telepathic with each other. I didn't really think about that, but that kind of goes into his line here where he says like, "Oh, you're so lonely in these shells of flesh." It's like, oh yeah, because like, if we retcon that back into there, I know it wasn't intentional, but we have the pieces now that we can connect if we choose to. He's probably thinking about like, oh yeah, all my Medusan brethren, we can just like merge our thoughts constantly, all willy nilly, and stay like connected in this big beautiful hive mind.
Sort of, yeah.
Haven't they used that with the Borg when one is extracted from the collective?
7 of 9 has trouble being alone.
Yeah.
It makes it really hard to pick a secure password. When you're in hive mind. It's like, oh, you guessed it again. Damn it.
Somebody used the @ symbol this time.
Too Beautiful to Bear says Miranda killed Larry with her brain and no one cares. I care a little bit. Poor Larry. Poor Larry. He's like. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I mean, this is interesting. We were talking a little bit before we started about telepathy, and you'd mentioned other episodes that it's in, and how I was kind of thinking it's more of a fantasy concept than a science fiction concept. But I like her line about going to Vulcan, not to, and Kirk says to read minds, and she says no, to learn how not to read them, and just how, having that intrusion of other.
Yeah, that was Spock's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, having that intrusion. Yeah, Spock then it goes on to explain what she means, that having other people's emotions and thoughts washing over you, it's maybe not such a great thing if you're not, well, at least not for a human. Anyway, I suppose if you're a life form where you're used to it, it's fine. But just it's not necessarily a cool ability. It could be something difficult to kind of live with.
Yeah.
It's actually, I think it's a concept that they did use in Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, there we're going back. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because obviously they start talking to, gee whiz.
Yeah.
Not Taylor. But he's there because all of a sudden they start communicating with him and he's saying, "Stop, I can't take it."
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
All the voices are going into his head because they're all they have telepathy.
Right.
I haven't seen
So,
that
yeah,
movie.
I greatly appreciate the Planet of the Apes reference.
And the Kwisatz Haderach has the ability to go into your mind. Get out of my mind.
They don't read minds in Dune.
No,
it was just the David Lynch thing.
I just wanted to say that line. I'm sorry. I love that line when the Reverend Mother
No, it's a cooler concept in the book where it was like
He sees the he can see
genetic
the
memory.
future. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Aaliyah was like so advanced, like she knew whatever like genetic memories would be in Reverend Mother Mohiam's mind, and was like able to like say the stuff that's like deep in her mind, but it wasn't like telepathy. It was
Telepathy,
like,
right? It was just like a knowing, like
it was a cooler and more complicated concept in the book that the David Lynch movie couldn't present.
Dr. Jones eschewed skewed or eschewed? I think it's eschewed. Eschewed pity. Probably got pretty unsociable after people pitied her enough times. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I actually loved that part of it too. And it did further. She's a really great character. Now that I think, I just really like. I think that's the shine out thing for me in this episode is the character and Diana Muldaur's performance of it, because she delivers those lines so like well, and it's like you really feel this character is alive, like is a real person, which is great. Zero needs to hand out visors to his new family. It's true. If his suit cracks, maybe he could hide within Murph. Oh, it's a really good idea. I love that. I love all the stuff you could come up with Murph. Murph's amazing. No one gets freaked out on Prodigy when Zero reads their minds. Yeah, well, he's kind of like that's how he communicates. Yeah, he can't turn it off. Like he's just inherently going to communicate with you that way. Was there anything else about this episode? Any like facts or trivia I missed that you guys want to talk about?
Is Miranda the first out and born blind person in Star Trek?
Would she be the first blind character? Yeah, I think
Well,
so.
because
Right?
you have Geordie in TNG because he's blind.
Right,
in,
not a
in-
character
in-
that's
in
blinded
Visor,
in the episode, but is just
but just as
Oh
a
yeah,
blind-
Right,
because
it's
Spock
just
went
blind.
blind for a little bit.
right because I can
Yeah.
remember
The
a
fried
few episodes
eggs.
where people got blinded or whatever.
Which, by the way, Spock is terrible with visor, remembering to put on his visor because he did it before in
wanted that.
Operation.
I guess-
Found out
That
about
was
the
like
NID.
Pon
Yeah.
Far 2.0 for Spock.
She's the second depiction of disability in Star Trek, right? Because we have
After
Pike in the
Pike.
chair.
Pike
and then
in
we
the chair,
have
that's right.
But I
Her
think
being
out
blind.
and out blind. Because I do wonder, obviously, because the sensor net and everything, where those sort of ideas came through for Geordie with the visor and everything. Because
It's like it's a miniaturized version of it, kind of.
Yeah.
I just wonder if that gene took that element and thought play with it and
Oh,
produced
and
Geordie.
you just reminded me the idea of a sensor net that could like feed information to your brain about
It's like
your
a body
environment,
visor.
like a body visor. That's super high sci-fi stuff. I feel like for even today, like like it's a really cool concept. I think that's really
Which she
neat.
actually said she's on 1.4 meters away from that.
Yeah,
wall,
she's like,
right?
she had all these. I can hear your heartbeat. I know what your heartbeat
Yeah,
is.
it's like
those things,
Geordie's
yeah.
perception was always.
More.
He got like more information. It just wasn't quite the
Well,
the
Jordy
visuals
could
that
tell when
the-
humans were lying, but they never really used it that
They
much.
never use that. Yeah,
That's
true.
another Daredevil thing too.
It's interesting because that was the source for the writer Jean Arost, I think her name Jean Lizette Arost. What I read was that the kernel of the idea for her was reading some article in like I don't know if it was like Omni or Scientific American or something like that about someone being able to play tennis who is blind because of
they
having
mentioned-
some sort of sensor. It was purely speculative at the time, but she took that and then developed the idea. So it is interesting, and I like the fact that this is the only episode that references tennis in the original series.
It did reference tennis.
Yeah.
I also thought it would be funny to see her wearing that like sensor net while playing tennis. Like it might have been actually.
It might even
There's
beat
like
you.
There's a sports version of it.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm sure you're right.
sure.
There's a
Yeah.
sport.
But I just want to mention that with the disability with Pike, it's treated as much of like, oh my god, his entire world is destroyed. He's crushed. He's worthless. He's miserable now. Even with like the technology of the chair and stuff. But here, I think is probably a little bit of a better representation of disabled people, where it's like, oh, like here, like yeah, she uses the technology to assist her, but she's still able to live her own life and is not just completely limited by her disability.
Right.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, the only thing Pike could do was play 20 questions over and over again with 20 questions. Yes, no, beep,
Yes.
beep, beep,
Yeah.
beep.
Are you
So
kidding me? You
entertaining.
have faster than light travel, really?
Interesting.
You would, have
Yeah.
thought, you would have thought he would have been able to learn Morse code in the end. Yes, no, no,
I
no,
know.
no, yes,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I mean, like
really,
like
really good point.
Stephen Hawking was able, to write books by just
looking at a screen,
looking
like,
at
with
his
his
eyes,
eyes.
yeah. But that story needed him to only be able to say yes
Yeah.
or no, and the truth
know,
had to be
yeah,
revealed
I know.
through the
Yeah.
narrative.
Pike was basically melted. It's true. Being blind was nothing compared to that. Yeah, he also just kept looking straight ahead, so maybe he couldn't move his eyes even. Like maybe he was just like
Oh,
pretty-
actually, no, he did move his eyes. He did move his eyes.
He
yeah.
did? Okay,
He did
never
the episode, he moved his eyes.
Was it delta radiation? What was
Yeah,
it?
it was
Messed him up?
rays, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
delta
them,
radiation.
them delta rays. You don't want to mess with
Yeah,
them.
so those. Yeah, it's true.
Melt your
Cool.
face.
Well, I guess to close out, I'll just say that again, I was very surprised because like so far the bar's lower in season 3 for sure. Like I definitely see what you guys were talking about, how season 3 there's like a little bit of a phoning home or just like a decline kind of in the overall storytelling. But this episode really surprised me. I think it's a standout for this season, but I think it might be, for me personally, one of my favorites of the entire original series. We'll see when we finish this journey what my ultimate all-time favorites from the whole 3 seasons is, but this one's up there. I really liked it. I think one of the things also like was the innovative camera work, the concept of the Medusans, the sci-fi concepts of the the technology that the character uses, plus like going to this weird void place and like propelling past like the warp barrier and the the Great Barrier, which again it's not accurate anymore, but for the time it was still very like sci-fi, like it might have even been supported by some cosmologists like at the time, before we knew how big the universe truly is and how big our galaxies are and stuff like that. And then the performances are the best part of it, especially Dinah Muldaur, who I was very impressed with. I really loved her. She's just stunning also in this episode. Like they really did a great job with the wardrobe and the costuming and everything like that. She doesn't look bad in any shot, I don't think, or any scene. And just like that moment again, I'm a huge fan of the Kirk fighting, even though I didn't like the way he did it, I just thought it was very Kirk like to fight for his friend and in a dramatic and perhaps wrong way, and he admits it. Overall very, very awesome episode. Guess what I'm gonna give it?
10.
A 10.
4.
Yes, it gets a 10. This one gets a 10 for me. So yeah, go ahead and add it to the list of 10s. Whoever would like to go next may go next.
Host choice.
All right, fine. You go since you spoke.
I like this episode. It was interesting. I agree with everything you said. Where it has I like the concept of Medusa. Non-corporeal creatures are just an interesting idea to me. I like the kind of some of the camera work that goes on, some of the dialogue. They say infinite. What is it? Infinite diversity, infinite possibilities.
Infinite diversity, infinite combinations. Itic.
And so that's always an interesting, thought-provoking kind of little phrase. And so as far as I guess we're giving it ratings.
Oh my gosh, I feel bad for everyone at home who had to hear that scream. But that was a good scream. That was like a boiler. That was like a boiler scream. Okay, so there goes our Marvick. All right, so that was Ruben's rating. It was insanity.
It was mind-blowing.
It was mind blowing. Adam, why don't you go next?
Okay, I can't follow that. I think we've hit all the high points of it. I like this episode. Talking about it, I'm kind of liking it more. So I'll give it a 7 out of 10. And the only thing I'll add is it's Eddie Paskey, Mr. Leslie's last episode, because this is the one where he re-injured or injured his aggravated his back injury, and he decided to stop acting. So, yeah, last time we see him.
Oh, that's right. And it's from being pushed in this episode by Leonard Nimoy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right,
Yeah.
because in that scene.
Over the rail on the bridge.
Yeah. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, like something happened. He says that it wrote that he had to go out and into basically in the parking lot and just lay on the ground for like an hour before he could get up and do anything. But he said, this is it. Between this and the headaches, I'm done. So, yeah. But good episode. So 7. What did I say? 7? Yeah, 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Dadmiral, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree with Adam on the score. I'm going to stick with 7. Lots of sci-fi in this one. As I said, what Ruben's already said as well, non-corporeal, the sensor net, all those type of things. I think there are so many good elements in this one, and probably if you take all those elements, it's probably, I think, as you say, so it's one of the better Star Trek episodes up there through the entire 3 seasons. It's definitely one of the best that we will see for season 3. But I'll stick with the 7. But it's well acted. It's well thought out. The pacing's good as well. I didn't once think, this is a slow episode. It went through really well. So yeah, I think that's it from me.
Robbie, do you want to tell us your final thoughts and ratings, if you care to give one?
I just thought this was a great episode, because at first I thought it was a murder mystery. I thought, is this going to be a TOS murder mystery when she sensed murder? And then I thought, wow, she's this great character who's just open-minded and doesn't mind being with this non-corporeal being, which she can't really have ordinary life with. And then figuring out she was blind, at first I was disappointed. I was like, so is she still open-minded, or is she just maybe not as open-minded? But I don't think you can really know that.
Right.
I thought she was a bit cold after Larry's death. There was not any remorse at all. He wasn't a nice guy, obviously, but still, he died.
We could maybe attribute that to her time spent on Vulcan and the disciplines that they taught her to kind of control her emotions as well. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, you're right.
No, I just felt that she just didn't like him.
Poor
Larry. You're always there are going to be people out there that you're going to fall in love with, and it's never going to be reciprocated.
Yeah,
it's one of those things, and I think that's where it came from. It wasn't a case she was cold.
Yeah, you're right.
She just didn't have any feelings for him.
And
it was just that was it.
I think what I was saying about Kirk, I wasn't saying that was making it a bad episode, or even making Kirk a bad character, because some of the worst character traits are the most interesting. Like I was saying about Picard and Beverly, they didn't have horrible traits and ethics, but I can't get behind some of the things Sisko says, but I still think those are some of the best moments of the series. You can have morally ambiguous characters, and it can challenge your beliefs and argue the finer points of morality, which actually enhances the episode and makes it more entertaining, because it's bold.
I mean, I can't get behind half the shit Sohel says, but I'm still for it.
So that this is a 9 out of 10 for me.
A 9 out of 10, great. Valerie, what do you think? Final thoughts on this?
Like I said, there's a lot of neat stuff in this episode. I don't think it's as strong as a lot of the earlier Star Trek, but even a less than stellar episode of the original series is still better than most of the TV that I watch, in my opinion. It's Star Trek: The Original Series is probably my second favorite TV show of all time. So it still is always an entertaining one for me to revisit, even if I have some problems with it. I'd probably give it 6 red visors out of 10 Medusan cases.
Excellent. Arthur says the Itic is the best thing from this episode for me. Its design and more importantly its philosophy has been a part of Trek ever since. And I love the line that the exchange between Miranda, Dr. Jones, and Spock, where she says, "I understand, Mr. Spock, the glory of creation is in its infinite diversity." And Spock says, "And the way our differences combine to create meaning and beauty." And I really thought that was like a wonderful note to kind of end the episode on. So yeah, I love that about it too. And then real quick, the audience there's people in the audience that want to know, how did Martian do the lights, and where did you get that light ball, Ruben? Yeah, so that's the trick there.
I used to be a copywriter for an electronics company, and this is a wireless speaker /
No way.
little light machine. Yeah, so I have tons of these. I have like 20 different types of wireless speakers because I used to review them and write the little manuals for them and stuff.
Okay.
And so I have them lying around.
That's awesome.
For years now.
Now he's found the use for them.
Arthur says no episode from season 3 could possibly be higher than a 7 Starfleet. I'll keep that in mind.
The Enterprise incident. The Enterprise incident is a great episode.
Oh yeah, it's true. It's true. There you go.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
I really like Let That Be Your Last Battlefield, even though it has the long montage of people running down corridors.
That's right.
Well, actually,
I do
next week has always been a favourite of mine.
Spectre of the Gun.
Spectre of Gun. Oh, good. I can't wait to talk to you about it. I saw it recently. I've been watching a little ahead.
I'll wear one of my cowboy hats.
I'm curious
for that
about
week.
seeing
Ooh,
next week
yes,
because
please
I
do.
remember not liking it as a kid.
There's a
I
lot of
loved it as a
things.
kid. I loved it as
There's
a
a lot
kid.
of interesting concepts in it. Hey guys, promote what you got going on, and let's sign off. So let's start with you, Sub Commander.
Oh, I got nothing going on. You can follow me on Twitter if you want at SubCommanderT, and the little parody account is at Mr. Leslie TOS. That's it.
Both great accounts to follow. The Sub Commander decloaks, and lovely thing also that he decloaks and then recloaks for his appearances. So it's like one of your trademarks, and I love it. Martian, what's going on in your world?
Interviews, and script projects that I can't really talk about. And follow me on Twitter at rmartian.
Awesome. And Robbie, I guess we're going right into it pretty much in like a half hour or so, right? Ish, like a half hour ish.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Doctor Who Forest of the Dead at Earl Grey Trekkie on YouTube, and you can find me at Earl Grey Trekkie on Twitter, which is basically a load of Star Trek tweets, a load of some Marvel retweets, and daily Star Trek quotes, which will go on
Oh, I
until...
do like the quotes. The
Yeah, the
of
quotes are
day.
fantastic. We really
I
appreciate
do
that you
love
do
quotes.
those. And you take the time to design them and everything. It's very nice. I've seen them also pop up like on Facebook now. So your quotes are starting to float around, like not posted by you, but I don't know. I think you said you don't mind that too much, but it is cool that your quotes are floating around out there. Ian, what have you got going on the channel this week or on Twitter?
No, his father, he just left.
Yeah, it's like look.
He's just in awe of the wonder of the universe.
Under the universe, totally. Yeah, I'm currently taking a bit of a sabbatical on my channel for a little while. I'll probably get back to it after the cruise next month.
Oh, okay. So we won't ask too much about it, but but people can follow
so I'll do
you.
that. So I'm slowly but surely. On the cruise. There's 16 nights. I've got 3 full outfits. I've got 3 in the process of being done.
16 nights? Did you say 16?
6.
Six.
Six.
Oh, okay. God.
6.
Right. Yeah.
It'd be cool if it was 16, though.
No,
Yeah.
but
I've done a 3-week
so
cruise.
I'm mucking around getting that done. So yeah, my focus is on there, and work's being busy as well. So I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram as Trek Cat. So yeah, I just deal with stuff across the board, primarily Star Trek, but I sent a quote about Superman and Lois today. I'll do bits whenever, but yeah, it is always primarily Star Trek.
Right on. Excellent. Father, what's going on in your neck of the woods there?
Sure. Well, you can always check out Text Trek, where we do a live stream every Friday night for our Text Trek podcast. We take a deep look at each new episode of Star Trek, currently covering Star Trek Prodigy, but then we'll soon be back on Discovery. And of course, we're doing the other shows coming later this year with Picard and Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks. That's always available Friday night at 7 p.m. Central if you want to watch live, or you can listen to the podcast later wherever you get your podcasts.
Usually you launch those on Mondays or Tuesdays, right?
Yeah,
like
those are always pushed out either late Sunday night or early Monday morning.
Monday, yeah, okay, cool.
And yeah, we provide some of the deepest analysis of the latest episodes almost immediately after they drop.
That's deep.
Yeah. Go check out the latest one, which was Star Trek Prodigy. I got to be the director. I was so excited. It was so much fun to be behind the scenes on that one. So
yeah, they're really cool to check out live if you want
Yeah,
to be part of the show, because we often incorporate some of the live comments. So
yeah, it's true.
Will
there be a Picard watch along tomorrow? Yes, there will. So tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, if you go here to the Starfleet Boy actual channel, we're doing a watch along and fan commentary for Star Trek Picard season 1. Tomorrow's episode is Maps and Legends, which was the second episode of the season. So come check us out tomorrow. We would love it if you were there. It was a nice turnout for the first one, so fingers crossed we get an equally nice turnout for all the other ones. You can also check out Starfleet Boys discussions every week. Next week is Spectre of the Gun, another one I'm not saying correct. I keep wanting to say Scepter, but it's Spectre of the Gun. So we'll be back to discuss that. You can also check out our Thursday reaction / discussions of the latest and greatest episode of Star Trek on this channel. And then Friday nights following the Text Trek stream, we stream on After Dark. And last night we covered a lot. It was like one of our longest
busy week.
Yeah, it was a busy week. So if you want to check out our thoughts on The Expanse, on Star Trek in general, on
Superman and Lois,
Peacemaker.
Why can't I do it? The Peacemaker started. Yeah, we did everything. Oh yes, Ruben's thought on Star Trek Discovery. We had a
You want to hear Marcelo laughing for a good 10 minutes straight.
Yeah, like I didn't know if he was laughing nervously or like through some sort of like titillation, but it was very funny. But yeah, go check that out. And then yeah, next time, Ruben, you're gonna have to read poetry on Starfleet Boy After Dark. I feel like that should be
I was
tradition
super curious about where that title came from. Like, it had to have come from somewhere.
Yeah, it's very cool. Audience, thank you so much for joining us. Please, if you haven't already, don't forget to smash the like button so you can confound the YouTube algorithm and we get control. Exactly.
Do your duty against control.
Look at this. Ruben is watching Star Trek Discovery and making references to it, like in a way that's great, interesting. Anyways,
I know that the turbo lift is now an interdimensional space that links all turbo lifts on all ships.
It's true. Live long and prosper, and we